My guest for the morning for AM Talk will be Theophilus Tetechai, Member of Parliament for Ablekuma Central in the Greater Accra region. He is also a member of the NDC. And Osebun Swamwa, he is a Member of Parliament for Ikrapim South, and he is in the studio. And Theophilus will be joining us very soon, though. He's almost here. And the foremost issues we would want to discuss comprehensively. We've had the Ecowas summit that started yesterday. Is supposed to be concluded by the close of this very morning. And foremost, they've been discussing the subject of Ebola as well. And so far, how do you think the efforts have been congregating to ensure that the pandemic is kept in the sub-region?
Well, good morning to our viewers. I think we should be seen to be strategizing to confront Ebola. It's not good enough for the donor community, so to speak, to be always saying that we are setting aside this much for the menace without those affected, especially in the Ecowas, also bringing out what they need to do, even raising funds to ensure that we have kept the menace. I haven't heard much about AU. The AU Commission sent a delegation to some parts of West Africa, but I don't think that is enough. So it's good that at least Ecowas sees this as a major issue that it should address. As to how we should tackle it, or how prepared we are in tackling it, there are various issues. Even for Ghana, that we have not experienced any yet, we still think that we are not prepared enough. So how much more those who are already in? I saw a documentary, I think on BBC. It was quite scary. The BBC reporter had come to Ghana and had gone to Bujumbura, where we have our Liberian compatriots or Liberian brothers and sisters. And she was interviewing the Liberians, and most of them said they were scared because people move in and out of the camp to Liberia and back. And then she moved to a nearby clinic to see as to how prepared they were, if there should be any...
A clinic around the camp?
It's a Catholic clinic. They said they didn't have any protective gear or anything. They were just... And then she ended up wearing a raincoat and said this is what they use. And that you can imagine with spaces all around and everything, how could we? And this was on BBC. So that even for a country that we have not experienced it, it appeared that we were not showing so much seriousness in tackling this thing. And if ECOWAS is minded to meet, my heads of ECOWAS come together to discuss these things, these are some of the issues that we should be addressing. Ghana has only one center, as I understand. And the center cannot contain more than 10 people. And as far as I'm concerned, even though we seem to be doing all the talking,
the action on the ground is...
We don't seem to be too prepared, and it's scary.
Especially, for example, yesterday, we were told that Yayi Boni of Benin had contributed $3 million, etc. Beyond all the rhetoric about what needs to be done, do you think that as a sub-region, the heads of state and the various parastatals and institutions they have in those respective countries have not done enough to not only sensitize their citizenry, but take concrete actions beyond the summits and the discussions that they would have at the diplomatic level?
I think so. I think so in a sense that it's as if we are waiting for it to happen to us. For instance, Ghana.
For each respective country, you mean, that have not gotten infected?
Yes, as if... I'm not too familiar about the steps they've taken in some of these countries, especially where they haven't had it. But if I can speak in respect of Ghana, I don't think we're taking the matter so seriously as I think we should, in the sense that people are scared. people raise false alarms. People show concern, especially when they see persons from other countries, especially the affected countries, in their neighborhood. Once in a while you hear that, oh, 3 Sierra Leoneans have come to this place, so the health persons should come there. But in our practices, we are still doing the same thing. We go to a big funeral, and if there are 2,000 people, people make the effort to shake everybody. The precautions, etc., I don't think we are hammering on it enough. And even if you look at the adverts, they come out, Ebola is dangerous, without even spelling out what Ebola is. You understand?
So there's not targeted communication enough?
Yes, we still can do a lot.
Better.
And as for the preparation, we still have to invest in it. You always hear that, oh, funding is being released towards this, but it's deadly. If you look at how Ebola has destroyed the economies of Sierra Leone and Liberia
and Guinea,
then you know that it could be very dangerous. And now, even the stigmatization. You come in from Ghana, but they see you as coming from West Africa. If you are from West Africa, and then we cannot offer you a job, we cannot even offer you accommodation. We are even cautious when you arrive at our airports. And they have every right to be scared and cautious, but I think we really need to do a lot. If it means investing, we should invest. We should not wait for the EU or UN or other countries to bring money as if we cannot plan during such emergencies. It's good that Benin is bringing in $3 million. I think we can also make the effort. I hope in the budget for next year, which will be presented to Parliament very soon, that is this month, some of these issues will come up.
I was interacting with a friend of mine who works with the hospitality industry, and they've not had a lot of traffic. The traffic volumes have reduced just because the people have not been coming in either for business transactions or for even normal
I've also
visitors.
had that interaction, and they said that
it doesn't look too good.
It's killing their business because people are cancelling conferences and other engagements. They will not fly to West Africa for any reason because they are scared of Ebola. And so businesses are collapsing, and this is the fallout. It's unfortunate that probably when it started, maybe those countries did not take bold steps to see how to curb it. But now it's engulfing everybody, and we need to be seen to be also reacting in a way that shows that this is really an emergency situation.
Now internationally, when you hear of the reports, not only in the international media but also coming from institutions like the World Health Organization, etc., the cases perhaps may not be reducing, but are not being reported as fast as, the infection rate is perhaps not as fast as or incremental as we were seeing it initially. So do you think that could also have an effect post in terms of how the other countries also tend to prepare themselves?
Well, we need to learn from those other countries who have been stricken by this. We need to learn a lot. In Sierra Leone, we had to take the British ship to bring vehicles, to bring makeshift tents and clinics to be able to see how they can assist. Some are saying that it took them too long. Now, of course, we are beginning to see how to fight it. But that doesn't mean that we should relax in any way. It's still a dangerous thing, and we should not delude ourselves into thinking that it's going away so soon so we can relax. It's a tragedy, it's an epidemic, and we should find a way of really coming out to fight it. If we treat it as the way we are treating the outbreak of cholera,
then we're in big trouble.
We are in big trouble. We are in serious trouble because the last count, 204 people had died. Over 22,000 infected by this cholera. So you can imagine what will happen to us if we don't prevent this thing from happening, or even if it happens, we don't contain it well. The Nigerian example is always there to show. And of course, the UK and the US, they've also tried to fight in their own way. The only unfortunate thing is where in a country like Australia, the decision is to ban all travels from West Africa. decision is not to admit anybody from West Africa and to prevent even their health persons coming to assist, because they don't know how to fight it when it gets to them. So it's a story that is still running. I'm sure we can still discuss it, but it's good that we are bringing it up because Ecowas is here, and we want to know the outcome of their deliberations so that we see how they are tackling it and how all of us should also be involved.
Now, the thing then we have to tend to look at is how we'll do the resuscitation or revamping of the sectors of the economy that have been gravely affected, because overall we're going to have effects on every sector of the economy, but foremost will be the hospitality industry. We're talking also about the airlines, etc.
Well, it will take time. For instance, Nigeria had to declare that they were Ebola free.
Just to give that signal to the international community.
But even Ghana has not experienced it. We are still suffering under that cloud of suspicion that West Africa is contaminated. So it would take a lot more effort, and it would take the whole world to accept that Ebola has been killed. Otherwise, they will look on the map. If he has options, then why does he have to come here? If he has options, if it's Africa, maybe go east instead of coming west.
And there are always options around the world.
Of course.
And if we're talking about the continent, a lot more options as well.
Outside the continent, more options, but even on the continent, you have east, west, south, north. So why would they take the risk? Unless, of course, they know that the situation is not as grave. After all, they still have missions here. They still have reps here. They still have people doing business here. What kind of information do they give them? For the first timer or somebody who is just exploring, because he'll be more cautious and may end up not coming at all. So even for the missions, they should also help in telling the whole world that it's still safe to come here. But some of the signals they are sending, if you say you are not admitting anybody from West Africa into your country, obviously you don't expect those in that country to come here, like the Australian extreme situation.
Okay. And tying that to all the discussions is the issue of hosting of the African Cup of Nations, and Morocco has been given a deadline today by CAF to make up his mind. Should Morocco always be insistent and say we think that we don't want to host it?
Well, I support Morocco 100%, and some have been cynical and sarcastic enough to say that if Hayatou is insisting, then Cameroon should host it. But it's not as simple as that. Some of us, we've started talking that there's no way Ghana should accept 2015. Ghana has gone to bid for 2017, and Ghana is just being cautious that if he comes out to say that we are not ready 2015, they may not give us 2017. If you don't give us 2017, they should take it away. They should take it away, because if the main reason why Morocco doesn't want to host it is Ebola, I don't think Ghana, we are ready enough to say that Ghana is ready to. Even if you say that you're going to hold AFCON in the US, they will reject it. How much more Ghana? Because US has all the resources, US is well equipped, US can manage it better than us. Even if US will reject it, why should we just, for the sake of being the good guys on the continent, for the sake of, if we don't play AFCON for this year because of epidemic, so be it. What is the big deal about it? And I've made it clear. Yesterday, incidentally, I met the minister, and we had a long discussion. He was saying that I hear you said I should apologize. I said, of course, because the president has come out to say that the matter had not even been discussed at the cabinet level. And I thought maybe in your interaction with the media, you went overboard in giving that impression that if Morocco is not ready, Ghana is ready. Maybe that's not the picture you wanted to. Maybe the picture you wanted to paint was that we have the facilities to host. But that is different from saying we are ready to take if Morocco doesn't do it. Because you haven't even spoken to the medical side of the country.
In terms of how management, what their own view is.
And they've come out to say that they think it's not a good idea. And I said for such situations, you might as well allow the president to speak. When the president spoke, he said it's not being considered, it's not even been brought before cabinet, which means you had spoken ahead of cabinet and the president. So as for 2015, we should forget, because it's just this January. And in between now and January, Ebola is not going away. We are not going to invite Ebola onto ourselves by hosting the whole of Africa, and then that is not the right thing to do.
Okay.